Welcome. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Truth to Power. You are
Happy
here
Thursday.
with nephew. Yeah, you got Wendell in the building. How you doing, honey?
I'm hanging in there, Dr. Matthews. How are you?
Babe, I'm ready for the weekend.
Okay. Well, we thank each of you for joining us with Truth to Power Uncut.
Yeah.
Make sure that you share, and share alike. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend to come and get it in with Truth to Power. So what's been going on over the weekend, Dr. Matthews?
Well, honey, it's just been a bit much because you have Adam Zombrowski. Did you hear about Mr. Adam?
Yeah, I did.
Run around here with the AK, 47 shooting folk because he didn't want to wear a mask.
Yeah, I think that
he's still alive too.
I think that it just speaks a lot to what's going on, though. Like, I think it speaks a lot to what's going on when you have Black people and white people and Hispanics and other races trying to support the Black Lives Matter movement and fighting for a Black equality with no weapon, but being called thugs, gangsters. But then when white people are upset because they can't go outside and play, or they don't want to wear a mask to protect themselves and others, then they can pull out a gun and nothing is said. That's a little problem for me.
Completely nothing. And I was like, wait a minute, hold up. Did he just take out an AK-47 assault rifle? Okay? Not a little pew-pew gun. He had an AR-15 assault rifle. And then at the cop. I was like, okay, you know what? This is privilege.
But that's called privilege on crack. Okay? That is privilege on crack. Because he is so above himself that he really don't even realize the problem in it. And that's a problem. What else is going on?
Complexion for the protection.
Come on. Come on.
Who's through with that one? Okay.
We put that on the t-shirt. Don't say that no more. Until we put that on the t-shirt, we got to get a copyright on that. Yes.
I just came out of nowhere, baby. I just had to throw that in there.
Well, that's why we put it on the t-shirt and we're going to make some money off it for Truth to Power. But what else has been going on this weekend? I know we're going to talk about it. We've already talked about it on Hot Topics Tuesday, but what are you thinking about Vice President?
Well, I'm trying to process this.
Well, I'm like this at this point. I know who I want, and I know who we need.
I know who.
But at this point, I'm alright with anybody he take. He can take Bethany Jacobs from Minneapolis, Minnesota that I've never met, and I'm gonna ride with him to the end. It don't matter because they are all better than Mike Pence and Donald Trump. How about that?
Wait a minute. What if he turned around and picked that girl named Candace
Owens? If Biden was to pick a Candace Owens, he would not be the Democratic nominee.
But what if she want to switch sides? Because we don't know how this stuff is going.
She would have to start from the bottom. Now she's here. Candace Owens has done so much to destroy the Black diaspora that I think it will take much more than her just changing her mind for us to forgive all of the things she's done.
You know what? She's one of those ones, and I'm just going to be straight up. She's one of the ones I can just be like, just shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. Candace is a trash can with no lid. Like, none. She just nasty and it smells. It's pungent. It's everywhere.
But I really would like, though, to answer your question, for him to pick Kamala Harris, though. Not just because she's my soror, but I would definitely like for him to pick her. Mm-hmm. And I would actually it was some rumor mill about Sheila Jackson Lee that he was thinking about bringing her, but I think that he should have her as being one of the Supreme Court judges. I mean, that's my opinion. What do you think?
I agree. I think Sister Sheila would be perfect for Supreme Court. Her or Maxine Waters, but preferably Sheila. And I agree. I think that Kamala Harris This is why I always say that when we talk about Joe Biden, we're talking about the person versus the administration. We should be talking about what comes with a Joe Biden. This would be the first time that we ever have a member of an historical Black college university alumnus to join the executive administration. So she will be the first Black vice president, the first female vice president, the first Black female vice president, and the first historical Black college or university student to make it that high. So it's so much that comes with this. And that is the thing that I keep arguing about. Huh?
It would be a defining moment, that's for sure. So we definitely have to get Trump and Pence out of here, because I'm just going to be straight up. They failed us, even with this COVID-19 pandemic, because we still have people die.
Yeah, like, they failed us long before. They failed us long before the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why marketing and branding is obviously going to be so important, because the United States, whomever is going to become the president and the vice president, is going to be our highest marketing agent. So I think that speaks very highly and very specifically to who we have on the show today, because this is a marketing genius that is coming on today. So I'm excited, because I think that's something that we can actually talk about also. Like, how can the United States brand pivot in this arena, in this area?
Oh, right.
So we do have Miss Zakiya Larry on the show today, which, like I said, she is a marketing mogul. But she definitely is an expert in her field. And she is a young lady that I've had the joy of knowing for quite some time. And I always tell people that the Zakiya y'all see on the news, on television, on social media, that's the same Zakiya I met when she was a freshman on the beat, walking around Texas Southern University, getting it in. Like, she has always been the same thing. So I know she's about to come in now. But I'm excited to have her, because I think that's a good question for us to talk about. It's just, how will the United States recover marketing-wise?
Right. And I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. Listen, y'all have me fired up. And yes, Wendell has known me before I knew myself, right? So it's a lot of goodness in here that we can unpack today.
Yes, it is. But you've always been the same Zakiya Larry. If I say she's always been on the beat, she's always been on the beat. She's always been. She was a reporter first. Now, she was the story, but now she's more of a Olivia Pope. For everybody. Let me fix your story.
Yeah.
He likes to fix stuff. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I did start out in the newsroom. I have an honors bachelor's degree from the Texas Southern University in broadcast journalism. Started out in the newsroom as a producer, did some reporting, worked in radio as well, lived in Los Angeles, Austin, Houston. I'm in Dallas. But at the end of the day, I realized that I want to still make news. But one, I'm not trying to stand outside in a hurricane. Two, I don't like being at the mall on Christmas talking about who's spending money. And I wanted to make the news relevant, and I wanted to tell stories that matter. So I transitioned into corporate communications and strategic public relations. And so now I am the CEO of Quest Media Training, and it's also a boutique strategic communications firm where we pivot brands and help brands and individuals to elevate, as well as do crisis mitigation. So a little bit about me, but it all started on the yard.
Yes, it did. Well, I think it started in the womb for you, though, babe. I think you were already articulating.
I was one of those kids on the newspaper staff in elementary school. I've always been one of those.
Yes. Okay. What's wrong with that? Well, that goes right to this question. So, can you explain to our viewers what is it that you do and what have you done?
Okay, what do? I do one thing and one thing only. I elevate. But I elevate in 3 different ways. I do that either through workshops and keynote speaking on the topic of media, presentation, and brand. I also do it through hands-on, being a publicist and strategic communications for brands, individuals, authors, working corporate projects. And then also through coaching. There may be organizations who say, we have a full communications team. We may not need to have you to come in and do the work, but can you come in and do some sessions with our team to uncover our message and create a path forward, depending on what they're dealing with. So one thing, elevate 3 ways. And what have I done? Well, I told a little bit about that opening up, but I have pivoted for myself as well into more of that thought leadership arena. So I've been featured in OprahMagazine.com, Essence, Black Enterprise, Ebony, as a thought leadership on brand, pivot, crisis communication, and finding your story and telling it in a way that drives revenue and drives influence. And so I've had the opportunity to work with brands like McDonald's and Pepsi and Pizza Hut. But also what I really love is I get to also work with smaller companies and authors and thought leaders, because I believe that everything is grassroots. Everybody, may have their eyes on big fish or a big name. But I think that when you can have an impact and help smaller companies and smaller brands drive their message, then you make a greater impact, right? It's like a pebble in an ocean. The waves, the ripples continue, right? So that's what I've had a chance to do, and I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, great. Well, then how difficult is it for you to retain long-term clients?
How difficult is it to retain long-term clients? I set up a model so that I have short-term, or what I call short-run projects, and then I have long-term clients. So I wouldn't say that it's difficult to retain the long-term clients. It just depends on the plan. So I do say, in order for me to retain longer-term clients, I make sure that I sit down and plan out what our engagement would look like in the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. And I also keep touch points. Let's talk about it. How is it going so far? So that I can continue to pitch long term. So I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it does take legwork, creativity, all that good stuff. So.
Okay. Well, then what do you consider to be the secret of establishing a long and stable relationship with your clients?
The secret is communication and giving treats along the way. So establishing long-term relationships with my client, I look at it as in a dating relationship. When something goes wrong, if my client may be unhappy for whatever reason, and this is hypothetical, of course, but I make sure that I make it right. I acknowledge it, and I make sure I speak directly to my role in that. I also do that when there are successes. And along the way, I'll say, hey, I know this is our engagement based on our agreement, because I stick to the bullet points. But I'll also say, but I noticed that you had an opportunity to grow in this area. So I went ahead and added a new campaign that I just think would help us out long term. Do this type of work, or who are in a service-based capacity, don't give away the kitchen sink. What can you offer that's a delicious freebie, or a give them, a whiff them for them, what's in it for me, but that doesn't exhaust you and your resources and create an expectation for you to perform outside of your contract. So it's a delicate balance, but I've been able to not advertise my agency or services since I launched 8 years ago.
Oh, okay. So then what advice would you offer brands who wish to expand their marketing into new territories?
Into new territories. That's a good one. I would recommend that brands do what I call find your core. The thing is, a lot of brands are focused on what they sell, and not everyone is going to want what you sell. So this pro tip that I will give is, don't focus on what you sell. Don't try to get new customers. Instead, focus on the problem you solve. Because we may have in our minds that our customers buy X, Y, Z. But if you focus on who has these problems, that then opens it up to a new audience, because then you'll start to see the thread between who has similar challenges. And it's a pivot in how you think, but it makes a really big difference. So find your core. What do you solve? Who are you outside of what you sell? And then you're able to then package that, pitch it, and market it to a larger audience, like you said, to expand.
Well, let me just pivot to what I was saying earlier as far as the United States government. Do you think it's going to be difficult for us to rebrand America after this? And if so, what are some things you think we could do?
Oh, Lord. Okay. Look, that's a loaded question, and it's so good. It's exciting. Can we rebrand America? One, do we even need to? Yes. How do we rebrand America? Obviously, I'd love to have a whiteboard and sit down and do a whole session on this. But just off the top of my head, when it comes to rebranding America, America needs to look at the global consciousness. What does that mean? And this applies to every brand, but I'm talking to America. What are the people at large concerned about? What are the people at large thinking about and doing? One of the major issues with any brand, in particular America's brand right now, is the focus on so much autonomy that we're ignoring the national and international sentiments. So our need to be unique ends up being ostracizing. So in order to rebrand America, it's taking a look at the general sentiment of the globe. And right now, the general globe sentiment is, hello, we need community. Hello, we need connected, compassionate, self-aware leadership. And we need a path forward. So in order for America to rebrand and regain that footing as the global superpower and the one to follow, America needs to reflect those sentiments in actions, policies, and also at this point, we straight up need a rebranding campaign for our country. And I would even invest dollars, should I be in DC, I'd invest dollars in literally a Remaking America campaign.
Wow. I like the Remaking America. That probably should have been Joe Biden's campaign slogan.
That's what I was about to say, because that's catchy.
That is very catchy. And
that's a Trump move. What I do.
For the shirt.
Yeah, that's a Trump move, though. Like, that was an excellent pivot, because that was very Trump move, because that's what Trump would have done. He would have taken a slogan of the person, and pretty much what he did, because this was Ronald Reagan's slogan. Right. Make America Great Again was Ronald Reagan's whole thing. And it was Bill Clinton's campaign. So, yeah, like, that was a good one.
Excellent. You know, and that's one of the things that becomes really effective in marketing and in strategic communications specifically. Take something that is familiar enough that it will ring a bell and change it just enough that it feels new, and people will remember it, and they don't really know why or how they remember it so well, but it becomes part of their fabric. That's why jingles work. That's why people say, I think I've seen this before. I think I've heard this before, because you take something, you pivot it, and then release it. So it certainly could work.
Like when you know the words to the song you hate the most.
Exactly.
But you've heard it so much.
You keep singing it. Exactly.
Those speaking points. That's a very Trump move. You sure you're not working for Trump?
I do not work for Trump, but I have worked for candidates for public office for the Senate. I've also consulted with different firms and folks in DC. So it's in there. It's in there.
I always say that Fox News is the Republicans' greatest weapon, because they only have one station. They only have one broadcasting station that is strictly Republican. Whereas with the Democrats, we don't have any that's strictly Democrat. We have some that we know are Democrat, but they try to balance it and be fair somehow. MSNBC, C-SPAN, CNN, they really try and tread the line. But the Republicans, they have this one voice that is speaking to their audience. And I think that is the greatest tool, because they stick to the script.
Absolutely. Sticking to the script is key. And I got to say, as a journalist trained in objectivity, you made a great point. outlets are very clear in their leaning right now, but that really gives me grief because we were trained, regardless of what your personal political affiliations are and your opinions, you must be fair and balanced. If you bring on a Republican, you must bring on a Democrat and try your darndest to also bring on an independent and have the exact same conversation. We're not seeing that anymore. That's an entirely separate conversation. However, right now, when you do have a microphone, a live mic at all times when it comes to the news cycle, you can definitely use that to your advantage. And that's what's happening right now.
Well, piggybacking off of that, then let me ask you your opinion on this, because I find myself irritated by Michelle Obama's when they go low, we go high, right? I feel like that destroyed 2016 because poor Hillary was so busy trying to be the grandmother to try and make me feel like she wasn't a B word anymore, to the point that she just got sucker punched by this bully. And I find myself looking at CNN and MSNBC being irritated because when I look at Fox, because I'm an avid Fox watcher, but when you look at Fox, Chris Wallace is the only fair journalist they have. He's the only one that literally tries to be fair and balanced. Everyone else is so biased. So when I look at CNN, for example, and I see a Trump commercial beating up on Biden, I get irritated because on Fox News, I'm not seeing a Biden commercial beating up on Trump. They are sticking to the script. So do you think that we are now seeing a transition? Are we now going into this dark area of media where you have to pick a side?
So the transition has been happening for a while. But yes, we are transitioning from fair and balanced coverage to advertising driven and influence driven coverage. It's very clear. That's one of the reasons that I became a little disenchanted with network news. But I want people to understand something very clear, that when you're watching the news, a lot of these programs on a network level report the news in a news format, but then they also have shows driven by personalities. The thing is, nobody ever makes the announcement and says, hey, today, right now, we're going to report the news. Okay, and now coming up next, we have a personality who's going to give their opinion on the news we just reported. There's nobody to explain the transition from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So for the general consumer, it looks like one thing. And that, if anything, is what's most bothersome to me. I would really encourage networks to have some sort of disclaimer, especially in this environment of social media platforms flagging fake news and fake content, and other outlets, or rather people flagging what's opinion versus facts. I would really love to see national media outlets have some sort of disclaimer, even the ones you see on records now, parental advisory, right? But some kind of way to say, and now our opinion-based coverage of today's headlines begins, or something.
That makes sense.
People don't know the difference between news and opinion anymore, and outlets, they leverage that. They leverage it, and now everyone's running around confused and angry.
That's real.
That's probably an actual strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the actual strategy to do exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
So it's by design.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the first thing you learn in journalism, intermediate broadcast. The first thing you learn is balance. You know, you're really just taught to make sure that you have balance, and that's what defines you as a good journalist. But I think those days are gone. I think we can get it back. I think what you're saying are ways that we could possibly bring it back. But I just feel saddened by it, because looking at Fox News, maybe until Sunday mornings when Chris Wallace comes on, is one script. So when I'm looking at CNN and MSNBC, I'm bored, to be quite honest with you, because each show leads into the next show talking about the exact same thing, with the exact same speaking points. And it's like, it's convoluted. So I'm like, I'm over it. But Fox News, I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, they just don't care. Like, they've thrown journalism out the door. Like, they've just thrown it out the door, while CNN and MSNBC is still trying to play this fiddler, gig. And it's just sad to me. It's really sad where journalism is going from where we were taught it's supposed to be to where it is. It's just sad.
Well, that's just
Now,
media in general. You know, the way how media has just gone from, you know, where it used to be a certain standard. Now it's just like they don't care anymore. Just like even for reality TV, they don't even care. It used to be a standard, like it used to be a big deal when people be kissing and stuff. Now, baby, they doing everything under the sun. So
we're part of the problem. You know, we're part
Yeah.
of the problem. Podcasts, digital podcasts, we're part of the problem because when we all get in there, you know, just so happen I have a journalism background, you know, it's all right. But the reality still is that anybody can just pick up something and say, I'm the news today. You know? You know, it's just where we are in life.
And you know what? And everybody, like, you know, normally you would want to have like substance. You would want to like hear, you know, the actual facts. You would want to hear like what is it that's going to be done. Baby, everybody want to hear garbage. That's what sells. Garbage. They want to hear garbage and mess. That's what they want to hear.
Right. But let me ask you, Zakiya, I'm sorry. Coming back to you.
No,
we went into your consultant without the fee. But wait a minute. So do you sometimes run into a lot of resistance from some of your clients? Like when you're trying to help them on their brands and help them build their brand, do you sometimes find I know you find a little resistance, but do you find it everywhere, or you have to just tell a client, maybe we should part? This is just my vision and your vision ain't matching.
Based on your question, there are two things that I've experienced. I have been in scenarios in which I have parted ways with a client and given them their money back and wished them well, because maybe we're not the best fit, and that's okay. So I have had that experience before. And one of the perks of being an entrepreneur and also being very clear on my beliefs and my goals and dreams is that I get to choose. And so not every client is going to be the best fit for me, and vice versa. And that's A-okay with me. But also have I had a lot of resistance. I wouldn't say a lot, but I have had resistance in ways that were shocking to me. I expect some level of resistance with every client at all times, just because people are married to their companies. That's their baby. I get that. And somebody's coming in and saying, okay, I mean, your baby is great, but that's hard. That's hard to take in. So I expect that. I have had scenarios in which clients just adamantly refuse the counsel. And so what I do is I always make sure it's in writing that absolutely, whatever direction you'd like to go in, I just wanted to make sure that I counseled very clearly, and here is my counsel. However, based on what you shared, we will go in your direction. And then we go in their direction, and then it creates more work and prolongs the time. And then you have to pay more of a retainer because I was done and I told you the strategy. And then it's, well, I feel like it didn't work. Actually, what you came up with didn't work. So I don't say that, obviously, but so it's challenging. It's challenging because often I give the recipe for the cake, and some clients don't quite understand strategic public relations and strategic communications. And then they start to take ingredients out. And then they say, but I still want a cake. But they keep taking out ingredients until it's leavened bread. And then they go, where's my cake?
That was good. Right.
Yeah.
If you want the cake that you thought you tasted, do what I say. Follow the directions correctly.
Follow the recipe. Now, if the recipe doesn't work, then let's remove something.
Yeah.
And then let's tweak from there. But so that's been very frustrating. And I've worked with clients from different backgrounds, nationalities, different ages. And in this current climate, it's been really difficult because I've had clients who share freely their thoughts on government, and it may not be aligned with my personal thoughts. I've had clients to argue me down using phrases, all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter. And it's exhausting, but I really believe that for this season, yes, I believe that for this season that I've been built for this, but it can be taxing.
Well, what advice could you offer any of our viewers that are currently leaping into this field?
Ooh, okay. So I'm from Memphis, so occasionally I'll just like blurt out things. So bear with me.
Oh no, you're good.
Hometown girl here.
I love it.
Advice wanting to get into this field. Please, please, please do your research and get some training first. One of the most exhausting things I've run into, one of the most sad things, is that everyone is saying they're a publicist and most people don't know what that includes. So what happens is a lot of clients get burned and the industry suffers. Or you are not clear on what strategy is versus tactics, and we can break that down another time. And you charge whatever it is you charge, that's your business, as Mama Tabitha would say. However, when they encounter a degreed professional who's worked internationally, who's won Hermes Creative Awards and awards from NABJ, they then say, oh wait, I can get this for less. And so just understanding the industry, what to offer, how to price it as an entrepreneur will keep the integrity of the industry going and not make it difficult for people who are not new to this, but true to this. So get educated, join organizations. There are several professional organizations for people who are interested in public relations, marketing, journalism. Join those and get trained. That's please. I beseech thee, please.
Yeah. It's like while you're talking, I can remember looking at, was it Jebony? I was going to say Jebony. I think it was Ebony Magazine. Was it Ebony Magazine?
It was.
When they did a photo and they had like these Black powerful women. And so I was like, and I guess I wasn't following the beat right because I didn't know. It caught me off guard when I saw Zakiya Larry. And I'm like, oh, Zakiya didn't even tell me. And I was like so excited, but I was following your story because I knew that you were having some other things going on during that time. And so when I saw you on the beach, I think you were on a beach, but wherever it was a lake or ocean or something, I know. But I remember looking at you and I remember thinking about your personal life that I knew that you were dealing with at that time. And I said, this is what a hustler looks like. And it's also what the heart of a tiger looks like.
Yeah.
Because you are like, I thought that was a moment to me. That was a branding for Zakiya that shifted for me because you became very top tier for me at that point. You were already at the top, but you were going toward the top. But when I saw you and I saw the tenacity that you had in that magazine, and the first thing I thought to do was to go to your social medias to just check on you. And I saw that you were still in the midst of what you were dealing with. And I said, but she was still able to put on the face. Yeah. And that's why I say Black women wear an S on their chest daily. And I feel like it is never applauded and celebrated correctly. Do you think that Black women in the field that you are in, do you think that Black women are treated fairly still?
Ooh, so one, thank you for acknowledging that. What Wendell is talking about is I went through a period of maybe 3 years or so that I was fighting for my life. And that's an entire story for another day. And I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I still tried to press through and persevere for my clients, but also my brand. And so in that midst, just God showed himself. So it wasn't that I was able to maintain, but I flourished. And it still gives me chills. And so thank you for acknowledging that. And to the point about being a Black woman and are we acknowledged or even supported in this industry, I will say that in the strategic communications and public relations field, there are very few Black women, and especially very few in upper management and leadership positions in public relations. PR started as an older white man's game. And when it comes to corporations, it's still very skewed toward white America, and their staff reflects that. And so I often get calls and outreaches from major corporations who are looking for that Black voice. And while that's exciting and while I'm grateful for that, it's a miss, and in a lot of ways hurtful, because my experience and tenacity show that my experience isn't as myopic as my race. And so it's difficult as a Black woman in public relations. Being an entrepreneur has helped because I've been able to navigate differently. But I've also had challenges. I've also been in boardrooms where I'm the only Black woman and have my counsel overlooked. But then after the meeting, everyone's coming and asking me my opinion and feedback. And then I get the emails on the low, but you don't want to ask my counsel in front of your white CEO. And so it's an uphill battle. And indeed, tons of shade. And so it's difficult. It is difficult. I think the tides are turning, but again, I would caution organizations not to treat Black professionals as novelties. It's okay to recognize us for our depth and breadth of experience in an arena you may not be familiar with, but just understand that it goes much deeper. And essentially, think about us as being bicultural and bilingual. We work in your world at such a high degree that we've outpaced standard America in education. We've outpaced them in business ownership. We've outpaced. So then how is it that you naturally default to giving us Black issues? It's stunning to me. It's stunning.
So yes or no question. Yes or no.
Ooh.
Joe Biden's camp calls you tomorrow and asks you to come on as the press secretary for $250 grand a year. Do you accept it and leave your business, or do you stay with your business and decline the offer?
Oh, I can only say yes. I can't say but.
You can only say yes or no.
Why she can't do both?
No, you can only say yes or no because you can't. Because when you are the press secretary, that is a 24-hour job.
Yeah, that's true.
But she can't delegate her business.
Yes or no? Do you leave your business? Do you leave your business even if it's only for 4 years, or do you decline the offer and stay with your business?
Zakiya, I'm trying to get you the bag, boo.
I see, and I need you because he's not gonna let me say anything outside of.
But I love the tug of war that you're playing because it feeds right into where I was going with it. A lot of people are now saying that Black women should be okay with just being on the Supreme Court rather than being the vice presidential candidate, right? Do you think that is fair to tell them that they must leave the career they love to go to something that is still a great career, but it is an end when they have an opportunity to continue building?
So here's the thing. I'll speak generally first. Opportunity is in the eye of the beholder. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people may be presenting something that they think that you should be happy about. Mm-hmm. And that in some ways is offensive. I think it's about presenting the opportunity and asking that amazing star power person, woman, male, female, Black, purple, if they are interested. So I think ego comes with, you should be grateful. And I will say, and this may be a bit strong, this is my first time saying something like this publicly, but look at you, my gratefulness first, foremost, and number 1 through 5 go to God first. And this is not, and the reason I say I haven't said this publicly, I speak about my faith publicly all the time. However, I am a bit weary of people presenting something to me as if it's a favor. Mm-hmm. I am over people presenting something to me as if they're saving my life. Yes. Because at the end of the day, you need me. Mm-hmm. And your perception of my company and who I am based on the exterior is your personal issue. Because at the end of the day, I have what can shift you and or keep you from getting attacked. So there are never any favors done to me when presented with an opportunity. Yes. Now, there could be collaboration. There could be a very rich relationship that forms, but I never want anyone to think they're doing me a favor. I'm grateful you thought of me, but you are not saving my life. Yeah. Period, in any way. Yeah. And so with that being said, that concept of women in government, I think it's about presenting them that opportunity. Is it fair that they leave something behind? Well, maybe that's a larger conversation about what are the rules for earning potential for federal employees, and what are the rules? There are just things in place that you can't get around. Mm-hmm. So perhaps that's a more tactical conversation. But I do think in a nation now where a lot of emphasis is being put on small business, where Black women are the largest group to start small businesses, where small businesses have the capacity to shift unemployment numbers with hiring, I think America has to be as nimble as its people and start to understand that people can multitask as long as we put in the right structure and format. So should people totally abandon to work in government? Depends on the rules, because I mean, we have someone in the highest power, the highest office of the land, working that office to his own benefit anyway. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying create a standard and stick to it. Yeah. And so if the Black woman is not able to maintain her livelihood and leverage her position, then no one is.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yes.
So it's not a black and white answer. The question
hit me. Yes.
That's what it is. So if it's okay for Black Lives Matter Avenue to do it, then it's okay for us all to do it. And I'm not, and understand this is not Zakiya's thoughts on morality, on what I'm just saying, standard issue, SOP, standard operating procedure. If it's done here, it should be done everywhere, and vice versa.
Correct.
Yeah, you answered that perfectly. I love it. I think that with you being a marketing giant, you don't have to accept the job because you can spin the reality that he asked you. So you can spin that in such a way that it would elevate your business anyway. So it was like, no, you're not going to lock me down for 4 years and tell me I have to say whatever you want to say. I can continue creating voices for other people. Thanks to you, you just gave me a whole new badge. Doc.
I can enhance your brand. That's
right. You need me. You seek me out.
I don't need you.
Absolutely. But and that's something I want everyone to understand. Whether you work a 9 to 5, I'm not just pro entrepreneurship. I am pro do what works for you and your family. So whether you work a 9 to 5, whether you work a 3 to 7, whatever it is, or if you're an entrepreneur, please understand that you have a power, you have a skill set, and you are so well-versed and so phenomenal, whether you work on a register or you're in the C-suite, you have a skill set that's so needed that someone is willing to rent your time. They are leasing your time. And I had to create that thought process. Right now, I think a lot of small business owners and people interested in entrepreneurship are thinking that it's about, I gotta get a check. Please pay me. Please pay me. No, actually, I have a skill that you need. You are allowed to lease my services until I find something different, or until I ascend in your company and continue giving value. So please understand that it's not about favors. If you know how to ring up people real fast and that good line at Family Dollar, they need that because we can't have long lines and social distancing issues. They are leasing your talent. Yeah. Never forget that.
That's a whole book. You need to start writing that paperback right now. That's a whole book, Leasing My Talents.
Period.
Period.
We've got to get out of this mindset of being beholden to someone. Do you want to stay at your company for 30 years? Please do. But know your worth and know how this thing works.
And that's what's important.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just to add, I mean, I'm just blown back, just in general, period, with the knowledge that you have that explains why, where you are, because I just have to call a spade here. Because you're Sarah, honey, I got to call a spade.
Thank you, Sarah.
You just didn't lift me up even more so today. I didn't lift with something else. So I am just too excited about this. And I just have a follow-up question.
Sure.
So this was a previous question. Are there any huge don't do's that you regularly see brands committing in their marketing activity?
Wow. Huge. Wow. Things not to do. Let's see. Let me wrap this one up because I have a whole list. I'm like, well, number 3, things that brands should not do. I would say, that's a good one. Don't be so focused on the optics or the presentation that you forget the results. So there may be a lot of investment in the logo and your Instagram photos and all this stuff, but the clients are either not coming or the ones you get aren't the ones you want. And that's because you have been putting out something before having your infrastructure. Focus on the solution. Focus on your back end. How are you reaching out to people? Because by the time you get to your logo and website, you're done. The logo and website is simply to communicate your promise. Figure out your promise first, not your product. What is your promise? Because remember, and I'll close this the way we opened it. I promise one thing. I promise one thing, elevation. Now, depending on who you are and what you need, I can deliver elevation multiple ways. But brands say, okay, so boom. I do press releases, I do logos, I cut hair, okay, I'm confused. It's too much. It's information overload. As a customer, you're trying to make me figure out why I need you, and I'm not going to do it. It's too much. But you say, I do one thing or three things, whatever your promise is. What do you promise? So you can say, I promise to overhaul your look through creative avenues. Overhaul my look through creative avenues. Well, what does that mean? Glad you asked. Logo design, website design, which one you need, right? So what is your promise? And I think brands focus too much on products and keep changing that up, and they don't clear up their promise.
I love that. I just have one little thing. And I guess because, I'm a business owner as well. And, everybody has they different, just like, Wendell is a business owner as well, too. And so like my business is a little bit more complex because we deal with foster care.
A lot more complex.
Yeah, it's a lot. The thing is, like, how would you be able to, because, okay, so the actual deal is that we contract with CPS and we get the children that come directly from CPS and we put them in the homes with the actual. But how would you be able to help businesses that are like me to excel to the next level with building senses, getting foster parents to become foster parents? I'm just curious
Yeah, yours is really good. So I would recommend a campaign for you that pulls on the heartstrings. So there's some businesses who need to focus on their promise, and you'll always need a brand story. You would be awesome in having that brand story and pushing it out. What do I mean by that? Really quickly is that people don't often react based on what they need. They react on how they feel. And so I'm just assuming, but in your field, when you're getting these contracts with agencies and you're trying to place people, you appeal to their mental. You say, I'm totally making these stats up, so fact checkers do not at me. But let's just say, 60% of kids in foster care are under the age of 17 and 70% of them are African American, and we need your support. That's true. That is true. However, to elevate what you do and get those kids placed, as well as helping agencies decide to work with you, it's Johnny entered foster care 8 years ago. And this is how Johnny felt, and this is what Johnny experienced. We put our arms around Johnny, and we found Johnny his first foster care experience that put him on a baseball team. And so now Johnny feels accepted. He has not only a family, but a team because we care. So show the heart in what you do. And then you take that exact same story, don't switch it up. Take that exact same story and say, hey, agencies, we know the stats, but beyond placing children, we're passionate about creating families and teams around these kids for life. Take a look at Johnny and you tell that same story.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's about the story.
Foster parents, like it's hard, but that, she tough.
Yeah. Zakiya, I just want to say that I am so grateful that you were able to come on. I hope that we can get you back again because we are planning a big watch party for the election. And I think that you will be another person that will be great on our panel. I'm just putting it out there. But I think you will be great on our panel for our watch party because you can definitely tell us where we need to go if he wins or if he doesn't win. What's next? Do we move? But can you tell our followers, our viewers, where to follow you at? Like, what are your you know better than me.
Yeah.
I'm old. I'm talking about, your Facebook stuff.
What's your Black Planet? But anyway, we'll talk about that one day. So on all platforms, specifically Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, I am at Zakiya Larry. No, I tried to get into my own Black Planet the other day, just curious. I think it's still up. I need to get rid of that before I run for public office or something.
I still use my email.
You know what?
So you know what? We deserve that. We deserve it. On all platforms, I'm at Zakiya Larry. And on Facebook, my public page is Zakiya Larry Elevation Strategist.
Yeah.
And my website is ZakiyaLarry.com.
If y'all need someone, first off, your start is ZakiyaLarry.com. Overload that website, give her some movement on that website. But at the end of the day, when we talk about supporting Black businesses, we get so caught up in the tangible. We get so caught up in products as far as things that we can go and buy, wear, eat. But we forget about those of us that own Black businesses that are not for the everyday man, but they're for the specific man and I think our woman. So I think that is important that we support and we push our Black businesses that are not in your local store, okay? Because this woman has a great business. She has some great clientele. She is not thirsty for your business, which means you don't have to worry about her trying to use your business to catapult herself. She'll be there to catapult your business. Okay?
That's what I'm talking about.
Always get somebody whose name is bigger than yours. Okay?
I'm actually looking to that.
Yeah, it's like I always tell people in organizations, I don't want nobody to be the treasurer that's broke, okay? I need somebody who got more money than what we're bringing in because then I'm not as nervous, okay?
Wow.
As long as we're clear. So you always go for somebody with a greater name than yours, and that's when you know that they're there for you, not for themselves. So lease her. Lease her. Well, thank you so much, Zakiya. I'm so happy that we had you on the show. Dr. Matthews, I hope that you like Zakiya Larry.
Yeah, no, I love Zakiya Larry because I may even have to look into her business to probably enhance my business. Okay.
Yes. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. She already told you that she tailored her prices. So, y'all don't have to feel like you can't afford Black people, especially us Black and brown people. We love thinking we can't afford someone. The first thing you learn in my line of business is you don't count nobody else's money. So don't assume you can't afford. Reach out, find out, and then say, well, girl, I'm going to hit you back in a couple of months. Let me get it together. But she may surprise you. You say, oh, I thought it was going to be more expensive than this. Or she may have a service that is smaller that can fit your needs until you build up.
She may have some option packages. You never know.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Zakiya Larry. We don't want to hold up any more of your Thursday. We hope you have a happy weekend and elevate somebody new.
I will. You guys have an excellent weekend, and thank you for all you're doing. This is critical. And thank you. This was so fun, and I hope to do it again.
Thank you. Truth to power.
Truth to power.
Bye-bye. Dr. Matthews.
I love her.
Oh my God. I love her.
Because I don't mind enhancing my business.
Yeah. When I was a senior in college, she was a freshman. And I fell in love with her immediately. I just loved her energy. I loved everything about her. And it was some things, I remember we worked through some things, but it was just great because she's from Tennessee. Right. And she came to Texas from Tennessee. And so it was beautiful. It was just beautiful just to watch her.
Recommend her to other businesses like myself. You know what I mean? So that's why I want to kind of get, I'm gonna go and do some research on her site and things like that, and I'm gonna spread it out to all the other African American providers.
Yes,
it's all about networking.
Yes. Guys, make sure y'all are following us on all of our social media platforms. We're now on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and of course, we are on Facebook. So get your judge with this push, because we are speaking truth to power. Because if you are not speaking truth to power, you are blowing kisses in the wind. Your arms are swinging, but not meaning anything. Nothing. So, Dr. Matthews, who do we have next week? Who's on the show next week?
I gotta look.
I think it's Nathan Maxey. No.
Who? Because we just overbooked, sweetie. We have quite a bit of people.
We are booked. It's either comedian, educator Jennifer Germany, or it is Nathan Maxey. But make sure that you all are sharing. We want to make sure that y'all understand that we are giving shout outs on Tuesdays to our guests that are really coming in, asking questions, pouring it in. We want to make sure that we put some attention on you, since you are putting attention on us.
Absolutely. Well, I have our quote for this evening.
I love our quotes.
I do too. And it's whatever we believe about ourselves and our ability comes true for us. Susan Taylor, journalist.
Read it again.
It says, whatever we believe about ourselves and our ability comes true for us.
Okay, Susan, I like that.
Journalist.
I like that. I really like that. Well, Dr. Matthews, as always, it has been a beautiful evening, a beautiful week. I'm just excited. Guys, make sure y'all share this. Go to our YouTube. If you're looking at it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, that is great. But just do us a favor and go to each one of them and look at it again. Okay? Because we want to make sure. Yeah, share. Join our page, Truth to Power the Podcast, on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. And make sure y'all follow and like our YouTube channel. And actually join into that, because we want you to join into the conversation, because we're not speaking on your behalf. We are speaking we are speaking with you. We're uniform. So we're not just speaking for ourselves on your behalf. We want your voice to be heard also.
Absolutely.
Well, Doc, it's been great.
It's been great, Wendell. Until then, guys.
Until then, fight the power with truth to power. Uncut. Oh, and we have to give a shout out to our greatest producer, Dr. Goodluck Esbezua.
Dr. Goodluck!
Dr. GL. We're going to say LG. That's black. That's the black way, LG. Good night, everybody.